Nvidia got an amazing price target today, and we're also going to take a closer look at some other semiconductor news impacting popular companies like TSMC, like AMD. We got a lot of semiconductor news to cover, so let's get started.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so like I mentioned, first let's start off with Nvidia. Nvidia had a great day today. The stock was up roughly 2.5%, sitting at over $131. After hours, the stock is also up about 0.6%. So the big bullish case for Nvidia today was Keybanc raised their price target on Nvidia to $180 from $130. And this was just from the piggybackness of yesterday, where we saw UBS increase their price target to $150. $180 is pretty amazing, as the stock right now is sitting at $131. So obviously that's very, very, very bullish news for Nvidia. Now the second thing we're going to move on with Nvidia is earlier today, the information did come out with a report that Musk and his Xai AI, which is his AI company to combat OPENAI, is ending a deal with Oracle for server GPU usage. And luckily, we are here on X, and Elon Musk kind of responded and gave us the real answer. So I think a lot of the information here, some of the information, not a lot, some of the information here is kind of known, but I think it's always great to kind of see the inside of things, of what's happening in the AI market. So Elon Musk mentions that, hey, look, they used to have an agreement, Xai AI, with Oracle for the training of Grok 2. And for this training, they were using 24,000 H100s from Oracle. Now, Xai AI is building a 100,000 H100 system itself for fastest time to completion. So this 100,000 H100 system we've heard about before. This is not new news. For example, if you've been following this channel, we talked about this in mid-June when Dell mentioned that they were building an AI factory for Xai AI. Elon Musk mentioned that Dell is assembling half of the racks that are going into the supercomputer, and that super microcomputer is building the other half, right? And we know that this kind of supercomputer is going to be used to train Grok 3. A 100,000 H100 GPU system is no laughing matter. That's a lot and a lot of money just on AI chips. But what's even more important is that this is going to be the largest GPU cluster that we know so far once it's finished, right? The current ones that we know are 24,000, which most cloud service providers are using. Even like Meta Platforms has a 24,000, but we've never heard of anybody do 100,000 system. So that's going to be a great thing. Elon does mention that the reason they decided to do this is because right now in the AI market, what's more important is to be faster than any AI company. And right now, to be faster than any AI company, you need to have computational power. So Elon believes that his Xai AI team can build this supercomputer AI system way faster than anybody else, and that's going to allow them to catch up to all the other players here in the AI space and all these other AI models. He does mention, and I want to say that point alone is very bullish because it's driving this race for the AI market. So obviously Xai AI is building a 100,000 GPU system. We are going to see that other players are also going to want to build these types of GPU systems, which means a lot and a lot of money for Nvidia, as they don't want to be left behind. And what's very, very important is you have to be the first to the market to a lot of these products, or faster than any other AI company. So maybe, who knows, the next supercomputer is going to be 150, the next 200. And we've heard from Jensen that, hey, look, we are in the race to 1 million GPU clusters, probably happening sometime in 2025 and 2026.
Before we go any further, we are now on the road to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Thank you all for the crazy support. So if you haven't and are enjoying the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. Finally, if you want to support the channel a little bit more, make sure to check out my special offer at fool.com/Jose. Now back to today's episode.
Now, Elon Musk also mentions that Oracle is a great company, and there is another company that shows promise also involved in an OpenAI GB200 cluster. So this one actually got my attention really high because Elon Musk talks about Oracle, but he also talks about another unnamed company. Now, the OpenAI GP200 cluster that they're talking about, we've actually heard about it in the past. And right now, we know that Oracle and Microsoft have a deal involved of 100,000 NVIDIA upcoming GB200 chips. So Oracle and Microsoft are working together. Now, like I mentioned, maybe some of you might know on the comments below, but Elon does mention that there is another company that is involved here in this GB200 cluster system. So very, very bullish for overall NVIDIA as we continue to see why the demand for AI chips are so high. So I wanted to bring that up. Now, the second stock we're going to take a closer look at is Taiwan Semiconductor. In my previous episode, I got a lot of questions asking Jose, what are your thoughts on TSM and their earnings upcoming? So TSMC is reporting earnings next week, I believe either Wednesday or Thursday. We'll look at a calendar in a bit. But for me, TSMC is going to blow out earnings. We have this huge demand for AI chips, but not only that, right? The PC market is picking back up, so they're going to have huge demand from the PC space. The mobile market is picking back up, so we're also going to have huge demand from the phone business and chips that go on the phones. And the PC and the phone industry are the biggest chip buyers in forms of volume. So I personally believe that TSMC is going to blow out waters, but the stock has kind of performed really well year to date as the stock is up over 81%. Some other great things is TSMC is increasing their price hike, which continues to give TSMC more of a bullish case. So let me just say, I mean, I think TSMC is going to do well. The real question is how much has been priced in. And at the end of the day, I've talked about it in the past. TSMC, it's a cool company, right? Definitely one that is needed for the semiconductor space. But I personally would not invest in TSMC. I believe TSM will most likely provide overall semiconductor market results. So instead of just worrying about one company, I would rather just invest in a semiconductor ETF. I mean, we can take a closer look. TSM and SMH in the past 5 years, SMH has only underperformed by a small margin. And again, you don't have to worry about kind of just investing in one company. This is why there are certain companies, when I invest, I want to make sure that I'm investing in companies that can completely outperform the market. If not, I'll rather just invest in a semiconductor ETF. And that's how I do it, right? There's only a handful of semiconductor companies that I invest in, and the rest of my semiconductor investment goes into SMH or some other semiconductor ETF because I'm only looking for those that can outperform dramatically, like Nvidia, like AMD in the long term of things. So TSM, definitely bullish, but if you're thinking about buying TSM, I would definitely suggest maybe taking a closer look at a semiconductor ETF instead. I mean, we can see 5 years, they were pretty much in line. In the past 3 years, VanEck has completely out-destroyed TSM. In the past year, I believe TSM has marginally beaten the ETF, and year to date, we can see that Taiwan has decently beaten the ETF. But in the longer time frame, we can see that it's probably smarter to just go with an overall ETF result. Now we are going to take a closer look at AMD. Just some quick notes. AMD was down almost 1% today. What really came out is Keybanc, where we saw that huge bullish note on Nvidia. They actually reduced their price target for AMD to 220 from 230. So still very bullish for the company, but any form of price decrease can be seen as maybe some form of negative sentiment. The next thing we know is today, Amazon did release their next generation of their CPU or server CPU, Graviton 4. So this is something that I've been talking about, that I believe the CPU market right now is too overcluttered. So I wouldn't invest in a company because of the CPU server space. I want them to have other alternatives. For AMD, for example, is the MI400 and the MI300 platform. For Intel is the manufacturing aspect. So if you're investing in some of these semiconductor companies for the CPU space, I want to say definitely think it over because this market is very overflooded right now. Next, we do have big earnings coming up next week, and I just wanted to inform investors. Some interesting ones for me are going to be on Tuesday, July 16th. We have Air Test Systems. On Wednesday, we have ASML. And on Thursday, July 18th, we do have Taiwan Semiconductor. Now talking about Air Test Systems. So this is one that we've talked about in the past few days. I actually did an episode here, 3 semiconductor stocks. Oops, that wasn't me. 3 semiconductor, hopefully they didn't put this one, 3 semiconductor stocks. They mentioned Intel, Air Test System, and On Semiconductor. I believe Intel has gone up a nice amount today, and Air Test System, as we can see, is up roughly 14% after hours, when the company did give preliminary results that things are a lot better. So in the episode that I talked about, I mentioned how kind of this is AI play in one way or another. And they do mention that looking ahead, they anticipate very much a lot of markets like IO communications, which can be used in AI accelerators. And they also have some type of burn-in test for AI processors as well. So they're going to give us more details during their earnings on July 16th. Overall, I'm very, very excited about Air Test Systems, and I'm happy I talked about them before we saw this nice after-hour movement. So overall, the past 5 days prior to this, the stock was up already 11.7%. So from July 2nd, the stock is already up over 37%. So congratulations to anybody that was able to pick up just 5 days ago. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.